Tyler.
Hey, Adam, what's up, dude? Long time no see.
Yeah, right. Good to see you again.
Good
I
to see
just
you.
wanted to check in first on how you're feeling as you report to camp, where you're at just physically, and how things are, feeling as you get back off the mound again.
Good. Got down to Florida relatively early. Worked with Kyle a little bit before, and then drove up to Port Charlotte and just kind of had like my normal routine this off season, and everything's feeling good and healthy, and just excited to get season going.
What would you
Hey,
say?
Glasnow, how you doing?
Good. Who's saying that? Is it Mark? I can't see
Yeah.
your face. I don't know if
I'm
I'm
sorry.
I hear you.
Hang
Hi,
on a
Mark.
second.
You're good.
There we go. There we go. I'm at the trop. Not really. A couple things for you. One, just hadn't had a chance to catch up with you. Your reaction to Blake being traded and Charlie, option being declined, not being with you guys anymore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a pretty tough blow when it first happened, obviously. But I think like everyone knows kind of the business of the game. And if you were to go into it thinking your teammates were going to be your teammates your entire career, then I mean, that's not realistic. So I think it's just the reality of the situation. And, they kind of have to do what they got to do, being a low market team and everything. But it hurts a bit. But I know the signings that we've made and the team we have is still really good, and we can compete with anyone out there. So I'm just looking forward to this season coming up.
Gotcha. And just as a segue off of that is, how do you think this all is going to work? It looks like you guys got about 90 pitchers on the roster, I think, as of now or something.
In terms of what, like how camp is structured, or just in terms of?
I'm sorry, just like how you guys will piece the season together. Cash used the word creativity. I mean, you probably are pretty, straight on your path, but just having all these different guys you brought in and some questions over how long guys can pitch this year, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have depth. I think like that's kind of been our staple through the past couple of years. They've done a great job scouting players and everything. So I think just the more players we have, the better it is. And hopefully there'll be some like minor league season that starts where guys can kind of get into like that game mode and everything. I know the bubble was a weird situation last year to where like to go throw to guys not in the game situation and then having to get called up was a bit strange. But yeah, like I said, it's good to have depth, and yeah, it's good to go.
Hey, Tyler.
What's up? How you doing?
Good. I saw some, I don't know, it was videos or interviews that you've been working on a third and a fourth pitch potentially for this year. Could you kind of elaborate where you are with those?
I guess if you were to count my changeup, I don't throw it very often, but like I'm still working on that. So that's 3. And then the slider I'm working on with Kyle right now. So it's just kind of like a cutter slider thing, something that I've been messing with. And we've been kind of going into the lab and like all the advanced to like kind of analytical stuff we have here. It's just easier to kind of formulate like a third pitch and understand like what I need to do to how I need to like position my hand to throw and everything. So I think it's easier to progress with a pitch when you have all those things to work with. So, but it's been good. I've been throwing it a couple last bullpens and it's been feeling really good.
And as good as you've been with really 2 dominant pitches, how much do you think a third can benefit you this year?
I think it'll help a lot. I just need something that's not like, doesn't have so much depth I can throw for a strike. I think it'll be a good pitch to get outs on, obviously too, but I just think it's one of those things, like if you're looking at like a plot, like I have my feeders up here, my curveball's down here. I just need something that's going to be right here. I can kind of just throw whenever I'm like behind in the count or anything like that for a strike, just to not be so predictable. I think it also puts it into the hitter's mind that there's something else. I have like another offering. So I think it can only do me some good.
Tyler, big picture wise, after going through what you guys had to go through logistically in 2020 with the bubble and all that stuff, are you surprised that you guys aren't further, or that things aren't further along in trying to get back to a normal case, and because it's not that close to being pre-pandemic wise, do you think you guys are more prepared as a group, as a group of players to deal with maybe another year of having to, be stuck in a hotel on the road and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, the protocol is obviously like a little less lax, but I think just in terms of beginning of the season, like the vaccine not being so widespread, it's kind of like the only option we had. I think it has to be similar to last year and I mean, there's going to be rolling updates and when that stuff becomes readily available, I think a lot of things will change, but just to like line it up with state regulations everywhere, like we kind of have to keep it strict until everyone can kind of have that availability. So I think, we did it last year in more of like a kind of an intense setting. So I think we have come into it knowing what we're getting into. And most of the guys have just kind of done their normal offseason. Now we're coming into this, and it honestly, it's structured really well. It's not the most ideal situation, but like they've done such a good job with like some experience with it last year to where you can come in and get your work done, and it's not too crazy. It's really easy to kind of come in and get ready.
Tyler, what's your sense too of just kind of everybody's attitude as they're coming back reporting to camp after as close as you guys got last season? Just sort of the motivation to come back with some different faces, younger guys in place. Just sort of what do you think is the general attitude of this group as you guys show up to get started here?
Yeah, spring is always the same. It's like the first week, everyone just like stoked to be there. And everyone's all happy and in a good mood, which is awesome. And then like you get rocked the first time, or you go for something, everyone kind of your ebbs and flows get down to even, and then everyone just kind of gets back to normal. So everyone's super excited though, obviously, like it's spring training. It's been such a long time. But yeah, it'll all even out and everything will go back to normal. Like give it a week and once the position players get here and people start struggling, everyone will start to, it'll be normal again.
Tyler, kind of going off of that, you guys did get, as close as you can get last year. Is there that hunger attitude? You guys were really open and honest and said, we want to finish the job. What would you say that hunger is like this year? And were there off-season conversations about that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as you go into it with because you're always going into a season trying to win. And I know that we know our team is so good that we have the potential to take it all the way and win. We know that for sure now. We knew it the past 2 years. For me personally, I think I'm just going at it like any other season. It does obviously last year, like getting so close, it hurt obviously a little bit after that. But I think it's kind of, you got to put your head down, keep your routine. And as long as we stay kind of what we did last year, I think we have a really good chance to win.
I think I have to ask if you and Archer have talked about potentially sharing a rotation after the trade and everything. Is there any conversation about that?
We've really only just talked about like pitching and stuff. And I've had a couple conversations with him so far. It's one of the dudes I was really curious to kind of come and pick his brain. And we've had some good conversations. He knows himself really well. He's really articulate, like knows the game, loves the game well. So we haven't gotten down to we probably won't. We both know like what the situation is. It's just nice to have him on the team. Like he's such a good guy. He was a leader on the team. Everyone loves him here. Everyone's familiar with him. So it's just good to see him out and he's happy kind of going through all of his stuff and he's just kind of back home. So it's just, I look forward to getting to know him more throughout the season and being his teammate. I do think we're going to make each other a lot better.
Hey, Glass, you think you and he and Meadows and Boz will have a little lunch or something someday, or have a little get together?
We'll eat in the cafeteria, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
There's a little irony there, isn't there?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I mean, I think like in your situation, looking at the trade, like I don't know, we don't have any control over it. Like that all happened. Like we didn't have any input in it. So we're just kind of out here playing baseball. I don't know if we like think about it that way. I don't know. I know I kind of don't. He just is like a baseball player to me. It's kind of like unrelated, I guess.
You got to appreciate journalism, man. We got to get you in that.
No, yeah, sure. You got to do what you got to do. You got to ask the hard-hitting questions.
Hey, okay, one more thing here. You had about 85 or so innings, I think, if I added up right, last year between regular and postseason. Yeah. Do you see any trouble getting to 180 or 200 or whatever this year?
No, personally, no. I think so much of it too is like the workload prior years before and stuff. I've never really been like a huge believer in all that. I think it's like where you are in the moment and how your arm feels and how you recover. Because each week is so different. Like I don't think the year prior has anything to do with it. I think there's nothing stopping me from throwing 30 starts or kind of having like a high inning limit. But I mean, as the year goes on, you kind of like the Rays are so good about it. Like they'll communicate with you and see where you're at and how you feel, and they'll tailor your schedule off of how you feel. So stick with the routine, do everything you can to stay healthy, and I don't see why not. I don't see why I couldn't do like a full inning limit thing.
You change anything as far as your off-season work from having thrown later into the year than usual, just as far as when you started or the workload you did this off-season or anything?
I took just a bit of time off of throwing at the end. I usually only take like 2 to 3 weeks off of like physical stuff, not meaning like sitting on a couch, but like still doing stuff. And then you get back into that, like that routine. But even previous off seasons, I feel like I've always been ready to go probably sooner than like the off season allows, I guess. So I don't know. I feel ready. I feel like I normally do when I come into spring. So there wasn't really many changes, obviously just like that extra month, but I just kind of pushed everything back a little bit and it just lined up perfectly.
Anything else for Tyler?
I think he's trying to talk, but he's muted, I think. Yeah, Mike, I think you're muted.
Oh, I thought I hit it. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
It's early out here in LA. Do you feel like this new supposedly deader baseball is going to have an appreciable impact on how the game is played?
I'm pretty stoked for it. I mean, I don't know about anyone else. I think that's great. I think it's awesome news. It's funny, like there was every pitcher knew that the balls got like were tighter, and I don't know what juiced is the word. And it like came out that I don't know. It was just weird that everyone was like kind of denied that it was like the ball was juiced. And then now they're like, well, now they're dead again. So it's like, well, then what happened before? It's just like a weird scenario, but like personally great. Like I'd love to not have more home runs hit off of me. Like, so be it. I don't care. Like, go for it. Make them dead.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.